Hi, I'm Nina Amir, the Inspiration to Creation Coach. I am a 9-time Amazon best-selling author and a award-winning journalist and blogger, as well as an author coach and an author trainer and a certified high-performance coach. And today I want to talk to you about a really important topic if you've ever thought about writing a book. And I have people come to me all the time as clients or for consults who are interested in writing books, of course, because that's my area of expertise. And I always find that they don't really understand the process. They don't really understand publishing, and they don't really understand what it takes to become an author. So if you are feeling overwhelmed or like you don't understand, or you don't know enough, or you don't know what step to take next, or you've heard that now's the best time to publish a book, and so you want to do it, but you really don't know what that means, this video is for you. Okay, so I want to make sure that you do know what you're getting into when you decide to write a book. I had a client recently who took a course. She thought she knew what she was doing, and when she really got into it, when it got down to the nitty-gritty, she had no idea what was required. So I don't want that to be you. I want you to know what is required and be prepared. So today, I'm hoping that you can see these behind me. If not, then I'll repeat them all anyway. Anyway, today we're talking about 3 essential things to know about publishing. 3 essential things to know about publishing. So, what are those things? Let's get started. We have 3 areas, right? 3 things to know. And the first one is writing ability. We're going to talk about writing ability because this is a real misconception. People think that in order to write a book, they have to be writers, but not everyone is a writer. Some people are non-writers. Non-writers can write books too. The fact is that there will be editors, which we're going to talk about, and editors can clean up your writing if you're not a writer. There are a lot of non-writers. There are coaches, consultants, entrepreneurs, CEOs of companies, heads of organizations, moms, dads, kids, all of whom may not be writers. They may not be naturally inclined towards writing, or it just may not be anything they've done before, and so they feel put off by by the idea of writing. But the fact is that writing ability is not always the be-all and end-all of producing a good book. You have to have a good idea, a marketable idea, one that will sell. Unless you're writing a book from your heart, then it doesn't really matter. It's your legacy. But when it comes to non-writers, I want to encourage you that there are so many different ways to get a book written. You can hire a ghostwriter, which can be very expensive. I don't recommend it. You can speak your book. You can create a presentation about your book. You can work with somebody to help you outline your book. There's just so many ways for you to get your book written, even if you are not a writer. But then, of course, we do have the writers, and there are bad writers and there are good writers. So the good writers are the natural writers. They kind of have a leg up on everyone, right? Because they can write. But if you're a bad writer, or you're just not as good a writer as you need to be to produce a great book, you don't have to worry because there are editors out there. And I always tell people it's more about a marketable idea and your ability to get that idea down on paper in a way that works, so that then it can go to someone else, like a developmental editor. I'm a developmental editor, or a book coach. I do that as well. But there are lots of people out there who can help you actually clean up your writing. Okay, so the fallacy is that you have to be a good writer, and that isn't necessarily the case. You have to have a good idea. And I just want to encourage you, no matter where you are on the spectrum of your writing ability, to move forward and work on creating that marketable book idea, a book idea that will sell, that's targeted to your audience. And in that way, you can then have material for somebody to work with to clean up and create that book. Okay, so the second essential thing to know about publishing is the process. A lot of people do not understand the process, and this is where they go wrong. And so this client that I had recently was in a hurry. She thought she could get a book done in, under a month. And yeah, we hear so much about writing a book in a month, writing a book in a week or in a weekend. And it's just the writing. You're getting a draft down, and that's it. Okay? There's so much more to the process than that. So the first thing to know about the process is, again, writing. This is the first thing that happens is you're going to write your book, okay? You may have to create an outline first, or I do mind mapping to come up with a table of contents. And most of my books, if they're traditionally published, they not only have the table of contents, but they also have chapter summaries. So I have a really, really good idea of what my book is about and what I need to write in every single chapter. But then I have to sit down and write it. And so that is the first part of the process, is the writing. And maybe the first part of the process really should have been the pre-writing stage, right, that I just described, where you're figuring out the table of contents and all the content in it. And there's actually some business-related stuff that you should be doing there as well, such as figuring out your market and who your ideal reader is, as well as doing a competitive analysis and taking all that information to create the best possible book, the most unique and necessary book, both for your target market and in the category where it will be placed in the bookstore. But anyway, before we do, we do the preliminary stuff so that we can sit down and write, and then we write. That's number one. Number two in the process of publishing a book is editing. And this, again, I had this client, she really didn't get it, and she's not alone in not getting it, because most people don't talk about it. But once your manuscript is written, let's say you've got a second, third, fourth draft, you think it's done or close to done, it then goes to what's called a developmental editor. Now, a lot of people have different names for these types of editors, okay? A developmental editor is someone who's dealing with the high concepts of your book and the structure and the content. They're reading it to look for what's missing, what's redundant, what's in the wrong place, what questions are left in a reader's mind. These sorts of issues. They're looking at every chapter. You say the chapter's about this. Did you actually talk about that? Are there transitions? Are you taking the reader on a journey throughout your book? So this is the developmental editing stage. Once that is done, you actually move into line editing. Sometimes people call it other things, content editing, but this is where the lines of your manuscript are being examined. So basically every sentence is looked at for sentence structure, grammar, punctuation, all those things you learned in school that you've forgotten, right? So we have people who are grammarians, and they go through and they read and they make changes. Now, let me backtrack just a second, because I talked about developmental editing, but what I failed to mention, which is another thing people don't know, is that you might need 1, 2, 3, 4 rounds of developmental editing. Why? Because the developmental editor goes through and reads, and then they send it back to you. And in there are all their comments. And the comments might say, you need to add this, you need to delete that, you need to rewrite this, you need to move that. You have to do all that work. And when it's done, typically it goes back to the developmental editor, who reads it again. If there are still issues, it comes back to you a second time, and then it will go back to them. Okay? Once all that is done, then it goes to the line editor. The line editor will read, it goes to you for you to accept all their changes. And if they had any questions, they may have to be addressed and go back to the editor as well. Okay, so several rounds of editing could end up in there, especially if you are not a writer. So then you might need more help with your writing and with the concepts. Okay, so once the editing is done, we go on to proofing. You now need a proofreader, okay? So this is something most people don't think about, but if you're going to self-publish, you need a proofreader. If you traditionally publish, the editors are going to be provided for you by the publisher, unless it's a hybrid publisher. Some hybrid publishers do not provide editors and proofreaders. But if you go with traditional publishing, you will be assigned editors and proofreaders. If you self-publish, now you need to hire a proofreader. You've hired the editors, now you hire the proofreader, and they go through to make sure that everything is the way it should be, that all the periods are in the right place, that the word "the" isn't there twice in a sentence, that somebody's name isn't misspelled, all those kinds of things. So you have a proofreader, okay? The fourth part of the process, or the step in the process, is design and formatting. At this point, your manuscript goes into design. And if you're going to do a Kindle book, right, an ebook, then you will need a formatter. You can format it yourself, but the problem with that is that if there are errors in it, enough errors in the formatting, readers will complain and your book will get flagged and Amazon will take it down. And you don't want that to happen. So you want to make sure the formatting is done correctly by someone, preferably by someone who knows how to do it. And if you're going to have a print book, you need it designed. So you need to have someone who designs the cover and the interior. Okay, step 5 is actually publication. And this is when it goes to the print shop, to the manufacturer who's going to put your book together. Okay, and print it. Now, if it's an ebook, it just gets put up on Kindle and that's it, right? Or Smashwords or wherever you're going to put it. But if you're going with a print book, it has to be produced, and that's what happens next, which usually takes several weeks. And let's talk about that for a minute. So writing could take you a week. It could take you a year. It could take you 2 years. I hope not. I really think almost anybody can write a book in about 6 months. Editing can take a couple months. It really can, unless it's a short ebook, in which case it might go quite fast. But you have to leave some time, and editors are backed up with projects. So do not expect an editor to be able to edit your book like that just because it's your emergency and you want it done right now. Not going to happen in most cases. Proofing can take a week to 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And again, these people are backed up with projects. Design and formatting can take a month as well, or less, if it depends who your designer is. Publication, the actual producing of the book and then sending it off in its boxes, usually 3 to 4 weeks if you're printing books, unless it's at CreateSpace. Okay, so number 6 is promotion. With promotion, what you're talking about here is actually coming up with a promotion plan, all the things you're going to do to help market your book. And that could be a blog tour or radio tour or speaking or blasting out information on social media, any of that. But your promotion is also based on your author platform. So promotion starts as soon as you decide to write a book, which most people don't realize, that an agent or a publisher is going to want to know if you have a foundation of avid potential readers ready and willing to buy your book when you hold it up and say, here it is, it's done. Okay, so promotion starts early, and goes on throughout the life of your book. The life of your book. So it starts from the moment you decide to be a writer or to be an author and continues until you decide you don't care whether that book sells anymore. The last part of the process is the timeline. It's really not part of the process at this point. You really need to do this in the beginning, and I bring it up because most people don't realize they need a timeline, especially if they're going to self-publish. They're thinking that they can just do it like this, that there will be editors just waiting to edit their book at that moment or to design their book. Not going to happen. So you want to take each one of these and backtrack, and if you want to publish a book December 31st, you have to leave time for each one of these, including your writing. So create a timeline. All right, the third essential thing to know about publishing has to do with you. You. Yes, indeed, it does. Willingness. You have to have willingness. Most people don't think about the fact that they're now going to be an author. And what does that mean? What does it mean to be an author? They're just like, oh, it's exciting, I'll have a book. No. You have to be willing to build author platform. You have to be willing to promote. You have to be willing to listen to what editors have to say about your work and to make the changes, right? There's a whole lot of willingness because it's not just about writing. Becoming an author is not just about writing. You wear many, many hats, you have to do many, many tasks, and you have to be willing to do them all. And I often tell the story about how I was building my author platform on social media and speaking, but doing it very reluctantly. And I was going to give up. And then I told myself that I refused to fail, and I changed my attitude. I changed my mindset, and I decided that all these tasks like social media and blogging, that I would embrace them because they were getting me where I needed to go. And it was that shift in my mindset, my willingness, that made it possible for me half the time. Like that took me about 8 years to get to that point. 4 years later, I had a book in hand, traditionally published. Okay, made a huge difference. So your willingness is a big part of this. You also need to be optimistic. Now, I'm not talking about just going around saying affirmations, although I'm a big advocate of affirmations. What I am talking about is having a positive attitude about what's happening, because positive people succeed more often than negative people. Positive people don't take the feedback they're getting on their books, for instance, on their manuscripts, personally. They see it as a challenge. It's not that there's something wrong with them. Maybe there's something wrong with their book, but that they can fix it. They see it as a challenge, another step towards getting where they want to go, and so they don't get stuck, whereas pessimistic people tend to get very stuck in, I got bad feedback on my manuscript, there's something wrong with me, there's something wrong with the book, I can't fix it, I'm done, I quit. So you want to be optimistic, and there are lots of reasons to be optimistic, because with rejection and the work that's entailed and all of that, you really need to be optimistic. Next is objectivity. I talked a lot about editing, and you need to be objective, right? When somebody gives you feedback on your work, you can't take it personally. But you also have to have the objectivity to put yourself in someone else's shoes, and those shoes are the shoes of an editor or an agent, or an acquisitions editor, because these are publishing professionals who are able to look objectively at your work. So you want to have the objectivity to see yourself and your work through their eyes. Okay, so it's a matter of changing your perspective, putting on different glasses so that you can see your work objectively, and you can see yourself objectively, so you can decide, is now the best time for me to publish, or am I not ready yet? Do I not have the platform? Is my manuscript not quite ready yet? I need to wait another month. You need to be objective. Tenacity is the next part of what you need to know about you becoming an author. Publishing books, writing books, we're not always successful the first time. We have to be tenacious. We have to be willing to do whatever it takes and not to give up, to decide we refuse to fail, because we know that we can figure it out. We believe in ourselves, and we know we have the ability to figure it out, and we will succeed, because we're not going to give up. We're just going to keep going. We're going to be perseverant. So I usually talk about these four things: willingness, optimism, objectivity, and tenacity as author attitude. I usually say it's woot, like woot, 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 right? And that this is author attitude. You need these four things to have an author attitude, which brings me to the last thing here, the last point, and that is mindset. You really need to have the correct mindset if you want to succeed. And many people say to me, they've been asking me lately, you talk so much about personal development and high performance. Are you still an author coach and an author trainer and a book coach and a blog coach? Yes, of course I am. I will always be that. But I am a certified high performance coach as well. And the reason why is because without mindset, without habits that serve you, without clarity and energy and courage and influence and productivity, there is no way for you to succeed as an author. It just won't happen. The most successful authors manage their psychology, their physiology, their ability to influence, their productivity, their presence, and their purpose. And when they do all that, they succeed. And so that's why I became a certified high performance coach, and that's why I talk about mindset. So I want you to think about your mindset. Are you stuck in negative thoughts of, I can't do this, or publishing is hard, or writing is hard? Do you not feel clear about your idea? Do you not have the courage to put your work out into the world, or even to get feedback from an editor or a friend? Are you not using your influence to build your author platform? Are you not productive? You say you're going to write, but you never do. And do you have a purpose with all of this that you want to fulfill, a mission? If so, you need to become a high performer. You need to become a high-performing writer. And this is all about mindset and habits and how we carry ourselves in the world as people, as writers, as authors. And so that's why this is so important. So there you have it. Those are the 3 essential things to know about publishing. Your writing ability, about process, and about you. I hope this has served you. It's always a great joy for me to help and support authors and aspiring authors. And I feel like these are issues that people don't talk about much, and aspiring authors go into publishing kind of blind. So I hope this has opened your eyes and helped you see what publishing is all about. And I encourage you to become a writer, to become an author. It's one of the most rewarding things you can do, and a wonderful way to make a positive and meaningful difference in the world with your words. I am Nina Amir, the Inspiration to Creation Coach. If you are interested in learning more about writing and publishing, please go over to my blog at writenonfictionnow.com, or consider joining the Nonfiction Writers University. That's the Nonfiction Writers University, nonfictionwritersuniversity.com. And right now we have a special offer going on. You can join the university for $1 for the first month, just $1 for the first month, and check it out and see if it won't serve you. I'm sure it will. There are events every month with other experts besides myself, and there are challenges for you to take so you can put what you're learning into action, and there are coaching sessions. If you've been looking for a way to work with me, this is a wonderful way to do it. Every month there's a coaching session where you can bring your questions about publishing directly to me, and I will answer your questions and support you. So that's it for today. Again, Nina Amir, the Inspiration to Creation Coach. Find me at ninaamir.com or writenonfictionnow.com or howtoblogAbook.com. And there are free books to download on every one of those sites. Until next time, go out and achieve more inspired results.